Go ahead.
All right, ready? Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to be here today. I would like to talk to you all about the gruesome and malicious acts committed on humanity by Libya's leader, Qaddafi. In addition, I would like to explore the links between Qaddafi and past murderers such as Hitler and Saddam Hussein, and ask the question, what is the difference between Qaddafi and Hitler? As countries, religious leaders, clergy, and the UN sit along the sidelines, there lies a country full of citizens who begs a desperate plea for fairness and freedom. Their plea is silent. Their desperate plea is for basic necessities we as Americans and citizens of other diplomatic countries take for granted. Their plea is to live in a society where they no longer have to worry about the safety for them or their family members. This country's plea is to live under a leader who has respect for mankind, a leader who believes in peace and not anarchy. This poor country is Libya. This hateful leader is Qaddafi. So who is Qaddafi? Well, he was born in 1942. He went to the University of Libya before going to Libya's military school. Qaddafi has been in power for 41 years now. He introduced a pro-Arabic, anti-Western attitude where anyone could obtain weapons and financial assistance as long as they were committed to fighting his enemies. It was under Qaddafi's ruling that Libya turned into an Islamic socialist nation, taking away the freedom of expression that so many of us enjoy today. In addition, Qaddafi supports terrorist organizations and guerrilla warfare. Now, my second question is, who was Hitler? Almost all of us know that the name Hitler is synonymous with the word dictatorship. During the Holocaust, Hitler killed anywhere between 11 and 17 million innocent people. Both Hitler and Qaddafi are demagogues in my eye, people who gain power through public appeals to promote the prejudice of a group. You may be sitting there wondering, well, what exactly has Qaddafi done wrong? Well, I can tell you that on December 17, 1973, 5 Palestinian terrorists opened fire in an airport in Rome, killing 2 people. I can also tell you that in 1979, Qaddafi created what they called death squads and ordered them to kill all his opponents. In '86, Qaddafi bombed a discotheque in Berlin, hurting many innocent people and killing 2 American men. In '89, 180 people on a plane were blown up over Chad. Qaddafi was responsible. In 1989, on Flight 772 of France, a similar thing happened. The list goes on. So are there any people or any organizations who fight against Qaddafi? Yes, but they do so ineffectively. Human rights organizations like the International Human Rights Group, they lobbied the UN not to seat Libya at the delegation. In September, Qaddafi declared from the UN podium that he denies the authority of the UN Charter. Last week, he called for the dismemberment of Switzerland. How can he now be elected as a member of the UN Human Rights Council? The International Peace Foundation says one aim of the reform was to prevent the most serious human rights offenders from becoming members. But it has been widely criticized over the past 4 years for failing to change many of the Commission practices, such as turning a blind eye to the worst, those in the world abused while criticizing Israel more than any other country, which Qaddafi has done. So why do those stay silent? And I've always been taught that your silence is your consent. And you have many people, oddly enough, who continue to be silent even though his crimes are apparent and everyone knows about it. One of those people or organizations is the United Nations, who elected Libya to the Nations Council by electing serial human rights violators such as Qaddafi. The UN violates its own criteria as well as common sense, to me. And Tony Blair once said, choosing Libyan dictator Qaddafi to judge others on human rights is a joke. He'll use the position not to promote human rights, but to shield his record of abuse and those of his allies. This turns the entire UN Human Rights Council into a joke, said Tony Blair. Another set of people who continue to be silent are clergy. And you would think clergy people, they're supposed to be fighting for peace and human rights, but they don't do so. At least a group of them don't. Another group are countries who depend on foreign oil. So why do they stay silent? Libya holds the largest proven oil reserves in the whole continent of Africa. Western power eventually concluded that they could not function without friendly relations with Libya due to the oil and business they provided to the international community. And Qaddafi has also paid $2.7 billion in total for the damages to some of the countries he affects with his terrorism, although there is no monetary value that can replace those lives, and he has done so just to cover up his actions and to bring in more allies. So I want you today to stop and think about you and your family and your friends, and think if you were a citizen of Libya. Put you and your family in the shoes of thousands of people who don't hold the prospects of a bright future. We as citizens of the world must send a strong message to leaders, not only in Libya, but around the globe, that crimes against humanity are not acceptable and not tolerated. If we as proponents of freedom and people who care about human rights and a better future for our children and children around the world, then Qaddafi must be stopped. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any questions, comments before we move to the second?